Have you ever felt like you just grew up before your time? Like you had to be the responsible one while everyone else still got to be a kid? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive deep into the psychology of what it really means to grow up too fast.
This quote, it just hits, right? It really sets the stage. It's often not some big, dramatic event. It's more of a quiet, gradual dawning, the realization that someone has to be the adult in the room, and that someone is you. So what is actually happening inside the mind of a kid in that situation? What are the long-term effects that ripple out into their adult life? That's the big question we're going to explore together. All right, let's start at the very beginning with the most foundational theme, the heavy burden of becoming responsible way too soon.
You know, psychologists actually have a name for this. It's called parentification. It's what happens when a child has to manage really complex emotions, either their own or somebody else's, long before they have the tools to do so. And to cope, their brain adapts. It learns to push its own needs down, concluding that its own feelings have to come last, always.
And this is so important to understand. The maturity, the strength you see, it's not some built-in personality trait. No way. It's a coping mechanism. It's a direct response to an environment where being strong was literally the only option they had to survive.
This leads to a phenomenon called split maturity. On the outside, you see this person who seems so wise, so composed, so incredibly responsible. But inwardly, it's a totally different story. Inside, there's often this swirling mix of confusion, guilt, and a deep, nagging feeling of being unfulfilled.
So that internal split, it comes at a huge cost. And that brings us right to our second theme, really exploring the profound price of all that early independence. You know, this survival independence doesn't just happen overnight. It's a learned path, and it usually happens in stages. First, the child learns that support, it's just not reliable. So what happens next? They stop asking for help. They stop asking for comfort. And that's when total self-reliance kicks in, and they learn to handle absolutely everything on their own. And as adults, what does that look like? Well, on the surface, they're the ones who are incredibly capable and put together. They're the friend you can always count on, the person who just seems to have it all under control. But right underneath that composure is the hidden struggle. Because they learn so early on not to expect any support, trusting it when it's offered later in life can feel almost impossible. It just feels temporary, unreliable, like it could be pulled away at any moment. And all of this leads us to our third theme, which unpacks the incredibly complex and heavy relationship these individuals have with rest, with need, and with empathy. We're talking about the weight of being needed. Now, this might sound completely backwards, but for someone who grew up too fast, rest can feel incredibly dangerous. Seriously, their nervous system was wired in childhood to believe that calmness was just the quiet before the storm. So doing nothing, it can actually trigger a massive anxiety response. And this right here, this is the core belief that drives so much of it. This idea that if I'm being taken care of, that means someone else is being burdened. It makes accepting help feel foreign and wrong. It makes them apologize for needing support or feel guilty for just taking a break. It's a strange paradox because this experience gives them this incredibly sharp emotional awareness. They can read a room, sense tiny shifts in mood, anticipate problems before anyone else. But that empathy, it's guarded. It has to be. They learned the hard way just how much it costs to care too much without protecting yourself. So they build walls to survive. Okay, so after hearing all of that, it might seem pretty bleak. But this is the most important part of our whole explainer. It's where we reframe these traits not as weaknesses, but as what they really are. A powerful adaptation, not a flaw. And if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Psychology doesn't look at these behaviors and call you broken. It says your nervous system did exactly what it was designed to do. It adapted to intense pressure. It's a testament to your resilience. Think about it like this. Your learning was inverted. You had to master responsibility long before you ever had a chance to feel safe. You had to learn strength before you ever had the opportunity to learn that it was okay to be soft. So what does healing from this look like? And this is key. It's not about losing that strength you fought so hard to build. It is not about becoming weak. Healing is about finally giving yourself permission to rest. It's about learning that the high alert is over and you are allowed to stand down.
And so we end with a question just for you to reflect on. After everything we've talked about, after understanding this whole psychological blueprint, the only question left is this: are you still carrying that weight?